So, how did we get here? Well, here are 6 helpful tips that will get you and your baby in sync to learn. The first tip and the most important tip is understand how babies learn. Babies are social learners. They are born with 85 billion neurons in the brain ready to learn. And how does it learn? Well, experiences and early childhood shapes and changes the child's brain.
What's that?
Historically, the child's brain has been referred to as a sponge. Well, it's not exactly a sponge. It's more like a rubber band that expands and stretches as it has positive interactions. And yep, you've guessed it. If it has negative interactions, the brain will literally retract. And on top of that, it's not just negative experiences, but also no experiences at all. So if the baby is left alone, the brain will not develop properly. When a child is in positive environments, and this is why the brain expands, the brain produces a hormone called oxytocin, or the cuddle hormone, or the social hormone. This is the hormone that plays a role in shaping a child's brain. High levels of oxytocin makes the brain more elastic and helps with learning. Think of your baby's brain as a database that has unlimited storage. The more input via experiences the baby has, the more the brain expands and the stronger the neural connections become. The goal of the game is to get the neurons firing and the neurons to fire in sync with each other. The more connection your child's neurons make, the more the brain expands, the more learning occurs. The first 5 years of a child's life, the brain is literally hardwired to learn, especially language. Every time the baby is using one of its 5 senses, it's learning.
Good job. What is Z?
Although it doesn't seem like much is happening, because all they do is eat, sleep, and poop the first year, there is a lot happening behind the scenes. The brain is like a supercomputer that's working nonstop.
Backwards? There it is.
And finally, the baby's brain learns from figuring out patterns in the world. Let's go back to language for an example. Language is learned over time.
That's W.
And
Good job. Upside down.
a newborn baby within 2-3 years of life, anywhere in the world, born anywhere in the world, will learn the native language within 3 years. Why is that? Because somebody's talking to him or her all the time, and the baby is figuring out the pattern to that language. And this is probably one of the miracles of the brain. A newborn within 2 to 3 years is going to figure out a language that it's never heard before. Tip number 2, spoil baby with love and affection. Because it's critical that babies are in positive environments in order to have proper brain development. There is no such thing as spoiling children under age of 2 for the simple fact that they don't know any better. Don't yell or raise your voice. When they cry, pick them up and comfort them. No cruel sleep training with prolonged periods of stress, because stress is the exact opposite of what we want babies to feel. The more stress the baby feels, the less brain development happens. And if you have prolonged stress, it could have consequences that may not appear until years and years down the road. So, we want to have close, loving, caring relationships with our babies. We want them to feel like we will be there for them when they need us. That doesn't mean babies are not going to have tantrums. That doesn't mean babies are not going to be fussy, no matter how well you treat them or how much you love them. They still will go through periods where they feel that they're not understood because of their lack of ability to communicate, which is rightly so because they have not learned the language yet. And so they're going to throw tantrums and they're going to be in fussy moods every now and then. But we cannot allow that to dictate how we treat them. One of the best ways to effectively communicate with babies is to develop routines. Developing routines helps baby make sense of the world. Because they don't have long-term memory yet, and they don't know what's going to happen, if something seems amiss, it might set them off. They might throw a tantrum. They might get fussy. So if we develop routines for eating, for playing, and for sleeping, then they know what's going to happen and they feel more comfortable. Of course, the first 6, 7, 8 months of life, it's going to be pretty difficult to develop a routine. But after that, you should be set. Tip number 3, allow baby free range to explore and play. Once babies become mobile, let them explore and spend a lot of time co-playing with them on the floor indoors or on the ground outdoors, at the park, at the library, at the grocery store. Whatever it is, give them free range. Let them use their 5 senses, which is critical to brain development and physical development. When you're outside, you have to be more wary of what they put in their mouth. But babies up until the age of 15 months, all they do is put things in their mouth. But for them, that's learning, that's exploring. So when you're outside, sure, you got to be careful about what they're putting in their mouth. That's why you got to be next to them. But let them use their hands, let them use their sense of smell, let them use their sense of hearing. The more information the brain takes in and the more physical abilities the babies have, the faster brain development will occur. Tip number 4, talk to baby, not at baby.
Yeah. Your hands
Instead of barking orders at the baby, have dialogues with the baby. Have conversations with the baby. Language is the gateway to learning. The more words the baby hears, the faster the brain will develop.
Come on.
Having conversations, describing what you are doing to the baby. For example, when you're changing the diaper, instead of simply saying, "Okay, baby, time for diaper change, let's go." Instead, ask the baby, "Is your diaper wet? Do we need to change your diaper? Should we go change your diaper? Let's go change your diaper, baby." And then when you're taking off their pants, describe, "I'm taking off your pants," or "Look at those toes, you got 10 toes." So simple things like that will have you speaking thousands of words to the baby instead of hundreds of words to the baby. It can take hundreds of repetitions of a word in context for a baby to learn the meaning of a word. Also, keep your language simple. At an earlier age, keep the language simple. Tip number 5, healthy baby equals happy baby. This is self-explanatory. Feed your baby plenty of vegetables and fruits. All the minerals and proteins will help with brain development and will also help build a strong immunity. Tip number 6, limit screen time to nursery rhymes. Now this is pretty controversial because the American Association of Pediatrics recommends for children under the age of 2, there is absolutely no screen time whatsoever, 0 screen time. And the main reason that they recommend that is because what parents do is they drop their babies off in front of the screen and walk away. And there's plenty of scientific data that shows that babies under the age of 3 learn absolutely nothing from television if you drop them off in front of the TV and walk away. So instead, what I would recommend if you're going to have the screen on is to have on nursery rhymes, and there are plenty of programs on Netflix like Little Baby Bum, the Mother Goose Club. On YouTube, you've got Dave and Ava and other programs that offer nursery rhymes. And then on top of that, you have to be co-watching. So when the songs come on, if you're not singing along with the nursery rhymes, if you're not clapping with the song, your baby does not learn something. And they are social creatures, so you're going to have to co-watch with them and sing with them. There are studies that show that music does help infants recognize patterns, and as we discussed earlier, a baby, all they're doing at an early age is trying to figure out patterns, and so that's why I recommend nursery rhymes.